Welcome back guys to DAWs Studios. In this video I would like to explain a simple trick to quickly create a library of snare samples with multiple microphones and with round robin, using free Presonus Studio One 5 plugin. For some years, to trigger drum in our production, we have been using samples made by us that became very effective to obtain an organic, realistic and personalized sound. At first glance, it may seem like a long and complex procedure when compared to the alternative of using ready-to-use libraries. In reality, this technique is very common among professional producers and quite fast, but above all it will allow you to obtain an inimitable and personal bass drum, snare or tom sound. Maybe someday this could be your trademark, and others will want to find out how you got there. So it's good practice, in my opinion, to take a few minutes during a tracking session after one or two songs to ask our drummer to rest a few minutes and record samples of all the shell of the drum kit. We will therefore have a musician who is already hot but not tired, that he will make excellent performances. Next, during the sound design session, the 5-6 best hits for each element of the drum kit will be identified, which will be correctly cut. Then the fades off will be applied to fade details and will end with a little bit of sound processing and optimization using EQs or compressions, but without over-treating, in order to not distort the sound. It will be funny to be able to relax before starting the mix. At this point, our drum machine that you can find in native Studio One VSTi bundle comes into play. It's called Impact XT. There are certainly other native drum machine with the same functionality in your favorite DAW native bundle, such as Groove Agent in Cubase, for example. Now we can dive inside the Studio One demonstration project to check it out. Come on!
As you can see, now we are already in our Studio One 5 demonstration session, where we have prepared and edited our acoustic drum tracks. Let's give them a quick listen. Not bad as a starting point, I'm satisfied. However, I already want to apply my triggers to kick and snare, and then start the mixing phase with all the elements that I will have to work on. So let's start with the snare. Let's skip the part of selecting and processing the best samples that I have already done. Maybe we could make a video dedicated to this technique in the future. Let me know in the comments if you are interested. Notice that the samples you will hear in this demonstration are part of a complete library that will be released for free in the future. Soon we will also publish free single-shot mix-ready samples for kick and snare, always extracted from this library. Stay tuned by subscribing to this channel or following us on our social pages if you are interested in this kind of material. In the Tools section of Studio One, I'm going to open a new instance of Impact XT. Here we are. As you can see, the graphical interface is quite clear and intuitive. We have our rectangular pads, as in real instruments, to which the relative notes are already assigned by default in sequence, and where we will load our samples with a simple drag and drop. If you want, you can change the notes assigned to the pad inside this space. If you want to create a library with several microphones that can be mixed together, we will load the related samples in different pads in order to be able to dose the volume later using the relative amp knob present in each pad. Finally, if we want a realistic and humanized sound, we will have to load 6 samples for each pad in this case, named from 01 to 06, simply with a drag and drop. To make sure that the samples are then reproduced in looped sequence from 01 to 06, we will select round robin in the relative drop-down menu for each pad. In this way, I will show you. This is my folder of samples. I have 8 different microphones. The first is the snare top with the Audix A5 microphone. I have selected all the 6 samples for the round robin issue, and now I simply drag and drop inside the first pad. And in the layer mode drop down menu, I have to select round robin. Okay, got it. Now I will have to repeat this simple operation for each samples. Okay, done. Now, as you can see, I have for each pad of the instance of Impact XT a different microphone. Snare top Audix A5, snare top ML2 of Steven Slate, snare top for SE Electronic V7, etc, etc. At this point, to assure that the sample of each microphone are reproduced at each snare hit, we should copy and paste the sequence of our snare hits for each note relative to the active pads, exactly in the same point of the timeline. The quickest and most effective way to do this is to use the keyboard combination Alt plus Shift plus drag and drop within the music editor of Studio One, like this. I have to open the music editor. I have to select all the hits in the MIDI space, and with the keyboard combination Alt, Shift, and drag and drop, voila! I have to copy and paste the same hit sequence for snare in the last note. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different notes, 1 for each pad of Impact XT. Now I have to close the music editor. Once this last step is completed, we can assign our Impact XT instance to the MIDI snare track and listen the result. For me, it's fantastic, really beautiful and performing. Now we can have fun mixing the various microphones by listening to the library in loop until we get the sound we like, dry or with the ambience, depending on the needs. At the moment, I prefer a fairly dry sound with a little bit of near room. I open Impact XT, drop down every microphone, but not the first. The first free microphone is for snare top. Okay, we can blend it. ML top. That give much more air sound. V7 top, snare. For much more body to the sound. The SM57 for the snare bottom. A little bit of wires for a crispy sound. This is the overheads. Okay, much more three-dimensional. Not too much. This is a ribbon mic, like a Royer for the entire drum kit, placed in front of the snare. room near for an ambient sound. And room far, like a reverb. Very big. But in this case, I want a dry sound substantially. Not too much, I means. Okay. This is good for me. Having reached the desired sound, we can now mix the original snare with the trigger by listening to it inside the whole drum kit. We shift to the mixed windows. This is the snare top and snare bottom original microphone. Not bad at all. But with the trigger, is much more better. The whole drum kit. Only the trigger. It's good also in standalone mode. But with the original tracks are very organic and realistic. Well, I would say the result is really cool and reflects the tone I had in my ears from the beginning. I hope this little tutorial has been useful for you. Try to apply this technique in your next works and let us know below in the comments if it was effective or if you have improved it. See you at the next video, guys. You can find all the links that can be useful for you in this description. In the meantime, stay rock!